welcome to my channel. So something a bit different. I'm behind the desk. So basically what I've decided, I know I said this last year but now I'm actually putting it into practice, is actually making YouTube videos for events as well as like acting and just general vlogs. So that's why here I am looking all profesh behind my desk. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Sommy Echesona. I am an actress and an event planner. Go follow me on both of my pages if you want to. And yeah, so basically I always wanted to be an event planner. If you ever watched The Wedding Planner by J-Lo, big up J-Lo, then you know all about it. So that's what I watched. That's what I watched when I was a kid. And then like during the first lockdown, I was like, actually, I want to make this into a business because I was planning events for like theatre and stuff. But I decided to go into more like not just theatre, like doing actual weddings, obviously, as well as different types of parties and stuff. So here I am. And today we are talking about how to plan a wedding for a 15k plus budget. So I think when I was doing a poll on my Instagram, on my event page, I just basically asked what do you guys want to see and everything, and people wanted to see more about how to plan a wedding for 15k, so about 15k to 20k budget, and that's why I thought it was a good time to start. This isn't technically a DIY wedding. You can have, for all budgets of weddings, you can have DIY elements, but I would say a DIY wedding personally is probably like 15k and below. So if you're having like quite a few like friends and family, do like photography, DJ, things like that, and then if you're making like all the stationery elements yourself, I would say that's more DIY wedding, so 15k and below. So if you did want me to do a video about how to plan a wedding, a DIY wedding with a particular budget, let me know. Maybe there'll be like a sort of series on the channel for different budgets. But yeah, let's start with 15k plus. I think the question I get asked most as an event planner, there's loads of questions actually, but it's where to spend your money. So what elements should you spend the money on the most, or different things like that, and how to really like crack down on your budget and allocate it to different areas of the wedding. So this is like a good breakdown of where you should spend it for that, if that is your particular budget. I always say before you start planning your wedding, think about your 3 priorities, whether that's food, venue and drinks, or food, decor, venue, I don't know, but just always think about your 3 priorities first. So within the 3 priorities, this breakdown might change for you because you might want to allocate more money to that particular 3 things. But this is just a general guide on how it can help you really. And like I said, in this particular budget, there are definitely DIY elements. Within this budget, there's definitely the right suppliers for you. So you just have to do a search, a little soul search for those suppliers, but there's definitely suppliers for you for this budget. Let's say you're aiming for 20k budget, obviously between 15 and 20, but let's say 20 is your cap. So I would always say put about 2 grand away for emergencies. So already that leaves you with 18 grand to play with. So for your venue and catering, they are always going to be 20% of your budget, regardless of however much your budget is. So they're always going to be 20%. So therefore, that's 3,600 for your venue and catering, going towards that. So obviously there's leeway in between, but basically if your venue has in-house caterers, perfect. It might actually cut costs a bit. It might be a little bit cheaper. Or if you're getting like a dry hire venue, that might cut costs and it actually might be cheaper depending on the area and everything like that. But 3,600 is the amount to spend for your venue and catering. Definitely start with the venue first, because obviously caterers you'll know via the venue if they have it or not, because if you don't have a venue you won't be getting married. Regardless if it's inside, outside, you need to pick a location. So that is the first thing to spend your money on. So for catering, obviously I said 3,600, but that really depends on the head count. So for caterers, it depends. They always do it based on per head. So that could be like £60 per head to, I don't know, £20 per head, depending on the meal you want. If it's a 3-course meal, sit-down meal, sorry. If it's family sharing, or if it's like a buffet type meal, that, depending on that, 3-course meal is already the more expensive option. Buffet, the cheaper option. Family sharing, in between. So it depends on that element, how much your catering will be, and then also on your guest numbers. So technically, the least amount of guests, or if you're being strict, if you just want 50 people, you can still do for this amount up to like 80 or 90, I think personally. And also don't forget to feed the suppliers, like your photographer, wedding planner, whoever's there all day. Don't forget to include them in the head count as well. But that's why some couples are so strict in terms of bringing plus ones, or like inviting people to the after party instead of the whole day thing, because with caterers, they also do, most of the time, do a separate charge for after party guests if they're there, if they're catering for the whole day, obviously. So that way you can cut costs there a bit and save some money. But definitely 3,600 for both of those elements, venue and catering. So the next element is the photographer, videographer, and flowers, I would personally say. Again, this depends if you either want all of those things. Flowers, couples tend to want flowers because you want a bouquet. Depends on your preference. In terms of photographer, video and flowers, I would say definitely leave money aside to allocate about 1,800 for those three elements. Obviously, give or take a few. But yes, 1,800 is probably the mark that you want to sit at for those three elements. For photography, I would definitely suggest having a photographer. Whether you have a family friend that is a photographer, excellent. Therefore, you don't even have to give them any money. Or if you want to be nice, give them, a few £100s. But definitely have a photographer there, because at the end of the day, these pictures are with you for life. It's not going to be a wasted element that you're investing into. And then personally for me, I think a videographer is quite important, because sometimes my memory is so rubbish in terms of my personal life that I need video evidence of what has happened. So that's why I think allocating or having a videographer at your wedding is really nice. Obviously look back on your day where you'd be like, oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that bit. So I think a videographer is really nice as well. And then flowers. So the bouquet, buttonholes for the men, bouquets for the bridesmaids if you're having any. Flowers are dependent for how many people, first of all. So if you're having 7 bridesmaids, 1 bridesmaid, then it also depends on that. Depends on the bouquet size, if you want a large, medium, small, that also depends. It depends on how extravagant you want to go. If you want to have flowers going down the aisle, then obviously that's going to cost a bit, as well as having them for your wedding breakfast, so for your dinner. But I would definitely say if you want to save money on this element, is to reuse, because whatever you use in the ceremony can be used for the wedding breakfast and then for the evening reception as well. And that way you're getting the most out of your money, reusing the flowers. And also I would say to try and pick flowers that are seasonal. So this is what I was saying about Pinterest. They show you everything, and just ask your florist what is seasonal at that time of year, and that will really cut the cost down, because people forget, like, unless you're a florist, whether there's that transportation element as well. So depending on where it's coming from in the world or Europe, there's also that element that makes those flowers, because they price it per stem sometimes, and that's when the cost comes in. So definitely pick a seasonal flower, reuse it, so therefore you don't have to pay double. And yeah, just really think about the design element in terms of, do you need all the flowers to fill the room, or do you just want it to be for the particular wedding breakfast because you're going to be there for a certain amount of time, because the ceremony might just be half an hour, whereas the wedding breakfast you're going to be sitting there for 2 hours, maybe up to 3 hours, eating, talking, speeches. So you might want flowers more there because people might appreciate it more. It really depends on you, but definitely for those 3 elements, photographer, videographer and flowers, 1,800. I've just done a little calculation. After all those bits, we are now up to 12,600. That's basically more than half gone already, and we've booked 5 suppliers and vendors. So therefore, like, it's crazy how quickly the money goes. I'm not gonna lie, it's crazy, but it is all worth it in my opinion. Obviously it's all worth it. It's a memorable day, the pictures are there for life, and you want to celebrate with all your families and friends, so that's why I think it's worth it. So for the photographer element as well, there's loads of different packages for photographers. So I think you could always find someone that suits your style and is within your price bracket. Sometimes you might just have to have them for a shorter amount of time, or if you just want them for a certain bit of the wedding, there's always ways around it within their packages that will help you towards your budget. And also with the videographers, they have different packages. They might just have a highlight reel, which therefore it will be cheaper, more cost effective, instead of getting the whole feature film of however long the video will be. You could just have a video that's 5 to 6 minutes, therefore obviously just showing the highlights of the day. So that also helps with the budgeting as well, and you therefore have all the elements that you want for your wedding. So at the 5% sort of mark, I don't know if I said the video and all that is 10%. Well, they're 10%, but at the 5% mark is the cake, wedding planner, DJ, evening food, registrar, transport, entertainment, dress suit, stationery, beauty items, rings, and gifts and favours. So within all of those elements, and there could be more to be fair depending on what you want your wedding to be, but those elements are interchangeable, so you don't have to book them all. You don't have to book them all. So that's why they're in the 5%, because your wedding can be without some of these things, but also the price can be interchangeable. So technically 5% is 900, but it's ridiculous. You're not going to spend 900 on all of these elements because you don't need to at all. So starting with the 900-ish price bracket will probably be if you wanted a wedding planner so with the wedding planners, if you did want to avoid that stress element of like organising your wedding or organising it on the day or having friends and family do it, and really just really enjoy the wedding basically for that month, you can go with a wedding planner if you want to. You don't technically need one because your friends and family can do it. It's just to have everyone relax and someone else deal with the stress basically, make sure it all goes smoothly. But with wedding planners, they have a range of packages. Some wedding planners, sorry, somebody's really bugging me there. Some wedding planners obviously offer different packages. So they have like the year-long packages, or you can get on-the-day coordination, so you just hire them on the day, and it tends to be wedding planners that have that on-the-day coordination. They actually help you about up to 6 weeks before anyway, so you already have that extra help. They organise the timelines, they organise all the other supplies, make sure they're all in order, get those confirmation times, obviously organise you and make sure that you turn up at the right time, but also make sure that those suppliers turn up at the right time and get everything sorted, done and dusted for you. Help you set up, or they set up for you, and then obviously do the breakdown at the end. So if you did want that element, they're there for you, and then again you can use a different package and just have them on the day. I'm sure there's some other wedding planners that literally just do on the day, so they talk to you a week before and get all the details that they need, and then they're there on the day to help you. So that's obviously cutting costs down again. So you don't actually need to spend about 900, give or take, with a wedding planner, depending on where the location is, the size of the wedding. Those things are interchangeable as well. So with the rings, it depends. Again, everything is very dependent on what you want, but with the rings, it depends if you want silver, gold, platinum, obviously elements like that. So obviously, depending on what shop you go to as well. For example, if you're in the UK, H.M. Samuels, or is it just H. Samuels? You know what I mean. They offer very good rings at a very affordable rate, basically, and they are really lovely. So you can get rings that are gold for £200. So it really just depends on what you're looking for. But I would say, or you can get rings from makers, like ring makers, independent jewelers, and they are up to like £300 depending on where you go to. So rings can be quite cost effective as well if you want to save money there. Another element is transport, where I think personally you don't actually need to put money towards transport, depending on where you're getting married. So even if you're getting married in a country estate, or if you get, obviously city weddings, there's loads of transport, but with country estates, depending on where the hotels the guests are staying, there's taxis. Like, not to be harsh or anything, but if you're not getting married somewhere so rural, your guests can afford to pay for a taxi to get to the hotel if you were being a bit tight on budget. So yeah, the guests can pay for their own trains, obviously, or car, and then get the taxis to the venue. And sometimes the taxi companies, what you can do is call them up and just reserve cars for that day to make sure all your guests obviously have a ride there, or they can share lifts with other guests. But personally, I don't think you need to put money towards it. But if I did, it would be about £900. Sorry, not £900. It'd be about £300 towards that, and that obviously depends if you're hiring a coach, where the coach is picking guests up from, and how many guests. So you could hire a minibus for about £300 to £400 as well. The next element would be the cake, and again, dependent on guest numbers, I would put towards about £600 towards that. So with cakes, you can find a cake maker that is so perfect for you within your budget of all types, or if you have a friend that's a baker, even better, you don't have to pay them, or you can if you want. Depends how close you are. But cake makers, they have different types of standards of designs that can be for you. So for example, semi-naked cakes are a lot cheaper because it doesn't have to have so much design element, so therefore they will already put that at a discounted rate compared to like one that they have to pre-make and have like for a week pre-make it and like put all these like sugar flowers or whatnots. So I would allocate £600 towards the cake, and then if you wanted 2-tier, 3-tier, that can go within that as well. The next element I would say to start thinking about, because then this can alter your budget for other elements, is the favours/gifts. So personally, I think favours and gifts can be DIY'd. Like you can start making gin for them, or like chocolate covered strawberries, or you know, hangover kits and things like that you see online. I don't think you have to spend a big amount of money for favours, especially because guests tend to leave it on the tables and they don't take it home. It's really frustrating to pick up because I'm like, oh my god, they spent so much money on this. So yes, I think it is becoming a bit old-fashioned now, going favours for your guests, but obviously it depends on you. So I would say allocate about £200 towards this, but again, if you don't, this can go towards the transport, and favours can go towards your dress and suits, which I think is quite, well, depending on where you go, it would be nice to allocate more money towards those elements, basically. So it's really about picking and choosing your priorities. So yes, with favours, let's just say we allocate £200 towards that, depending if you want to get something quite nice for your guest. With the wedding dress, I would say allocate about £900 towards it. You can get a really lovely wedding dress from Wed2be. They're in Liverpool and London, and basically, I don't know if they're not reusable. I mean, not that they're not really, I don't think people have worn it in the past. I think they're just affordable dresses, and they're really lovely, and you don't have to get a designer dress, basically. I think that's a myth, to get a designer dress. You don't need to do that. As long as it looks lovely, you look beautiful in it on the day, what else matters? So I would say about £900. You can get really affordable ones from Wed2be for £500, basically, and they come in different shapes and sizes, puffies, fishtail, whatever you want, they have it all. So £900 is probably the best bracket for that. Obviously you can add more to it depending on what you want to, but this is a guide after all. And then there's other dress retailers like boutiques that will offer for that price bracket as well. There's another one that uses, I forgot, basically women can sell their dresses to them, or donate their dresses, sorry. Actually, is it doing it? Oh no, they're old season dresses from designers. I'll put it on the screen what they're called. So yeah, they're out of season dresses from designers, and they donate it to this boutique, and basically all the money goes to countries that are in need of water and different things like that. So they have dresses within that price bracket as well, which is really affordable. And yeah, and then they're designer as well, which is even excellent if you were just looking for a designer dress. So there's ways around that. You don't have to be like, oh my god, I have to spend over £1,000 for a wedding dress. You don't. There's always ways around it. So next is entertainment. Again, depends on what you want. You can find a really reasonable price DJ for about between £300 and £500. Let's say in this case £350. So in the area, look for local DJs. That's probably your best bet. Look for local DJs, listen to their music online, see if they're doing any offers, but you can get reasonably priced DJs. I can't speak. Reasonably priced DJs for about 300, starts from 300. And then again, is this for the evening from like 7 till midnight, or like 8 till midnight? Let's see if their times vary, and then obviously see if the price will drop from that as well. But I would say if you just want a DJ that obviously you can request music that you want, so therefore the music will be good for your taste anyway, and you're not that fussed, then you can get a DJ for within your bracket as well, and everyone will have a good night. If you're drinking, if you're not drinking, whatever you're doing, you will still have a good night. The tunes will be playing because you've requested them, so everything will be good. The next thing I would say is your suit. So you can get really, really affordable suits from Moss Bros or any place like that, and they're basically, unless you want a designer suit, that's a different case, but I don't think designer suit is for this budget breakdown right now. But you can get reasonably priced lovely suits from places like Moss Bros, where you can hire it or you can buy it as well, and the higher price I think is, you can see it online, it's like 100 or something if you didn't want to keep it, or you can get one tailor made for you that will fit you perfectly and you keep obviously for about £300. So that's definitely a place to go if you were thinking, oh, I want to keep my suit but I wanted to like tailor made for me and really fit to my liking and choose the colours and different elements like that. So and then that way, if you're having ushers as well, groomsmen, they can create a code for you, and all your groomsmen can get a similar suit to you or the same suit, and then obviously they can pay for their own if they want to. If they're just hiring it, it's definitely up to you. But you can get really, really good suits from places like Moss Bros that come at £300 that will make you feel good as well. Well, our price breakdown of $16,650. I forgot I spoke about the gifts and favours. So yes, what to do next? The next thing is, well, this is actually from the get-go you should have done, but this is in terms of allocation of money, is to book the registrar. Depending on what area you're in, you can probably book the registrar for, and depending on what ceremony, I believe you could book it for £300, £350, give or take. You need a registrar to get married. Simple. You can't skip this out because this is a legal requirement if you want to make your marriage legal anyway, which I assume so. So, yeah, so you can obviously have the registrar at your venue and they'll marry you. So this is probably about $300, $350 depending on the ceremony packages. I can't remember. And it also differs between the areas as well. Like, you can't skip out on that one. You have to do it. So don't forget and book it in advance, because as you know, weddings are backlogged. The next element to do is beauty. Again, this is something that you can do yourself. Do you want to do your makeup yourself? Cut costs that way, or family, friends, or your mum or whoever to do your makeup, you can do that as well. But I would say definitely looking for a local, you can even go to salons and get your makeup done for your wedding. It's as simple as that, and they actually charge about up to $150, sometimes $200, so therefore you're already like saving money there. Or if you did want to hire someone to be at your venue, you could probably find someone in the area for about £400 that will do your makeup. This will obviously just be for you though, it wouldn't be for your bridesmaids or mum or whoever. Oh, excuse me, this would just be for yourself. And I say £400 is quite good, especially if you're finding someone that's local, and if it's just for you, like, that's definitely like a good way to do it. But again, this is something that you could if you're not good at makeup, then I suggest hiring someone or going to a salon and getting it done. But if you can, if you're really good at it, or if you know what you like, then just do it yourself, and then you're already saving money there. So we are at $17,350. So the next things would be, it's actually only 2 more elements, and it definitely depends on you. Stationery, so invites, signs, anything like that. Wedding, table names, for like table numbers or names, whatever you want to call it. Place setting names, that is dependent on you. This can be something that's definitely DIY-able. And then you can, like, literally, for my wedding, for example, I think we're only paying up to, actually, we did spend a bit more. But we're paying, some people spend, like, almost £1,000 on stationery, which I find quite crazy. But you can. It depends what you're going for and what type of wedding you're having. But for example, we've only spent £300 on it. And a lot of it has been, we have hired someone, but she's a friend, so we've given her £300 to use. But this can be DIY for you as well. buy the paper from, you know, nice quality paper online or in print shops. They're so cheap. They're so incredibly cheap. The thing with stationery is that it takes time. So you're paying for someone's time as well as obviously the materials. So you can definitely allocate, if you did want to hire someone, £200, depending on what you wanted to do. So with invites, it depends again what you want to do. You can literally make it yourself, or if you did want to make a simple invite, you can hire someone for this with it and signs and everything like that, depending on the materials you want to use. Definitely can be for £200. This might have to be some DIY elements to it as well, because it depends how many items you want from that stationery supplier. Because if you wanted signs and everything that I mentioned, basically, it will be a bit more expensive if you wanted them to do it all. But for £200, you can definitely get some invites done, depending on how many numbers. Get the main sign done, and then maybe even some place settings done, depending on what you wanted as well. And I think that's definitely a healthy amount to contribute towards stationery. So we're at 17,850, basically at the end of the 18,000, almost at the end of the 18,000. So what's next? That is up to you. So you can, obviously with food, drinks and things like that, it's really complicated. It depends what you want to do, but I would say for this budget, it's definitely best to get your guests to buy their own drinks, or if your venue doesn't charge corkage, you can buy the drinks for themselves, but that is an additional cost that could go towards the 2k that we've just stored away. But that's definitely an additional cost that you can think about later. It's really up to you. So let's say you're getting your guests to buy their drinks, which is fine. So then the other element is the evening food. People need to eat, and with caterers this could already be included. But if you did want to hire anyone else, or if it's like a a dry hire venue, so you need to hire caterers for the evening as well, then you could probably put about 150 away for this element. It really depends on you. Or you know, you can get like good buffet food for 150. This probably is another DIY element that you have to put out yourselves, or the wedding planner puts out for you, whichever. But you can really get some good quality food for £150 for buffet style evening food. Everyone's drinking, everyone's dancing, like they're not really going to be particularly eating very much. So this is definitely a healthy amount to put away for that. So yeah, so with that, it makes it 18,000. So there's so many other elements that you can put towards that. So with that 2k that you've put away, personally, not everyone actually cares about decor, but I do. So you can use some of that money towards decor. So like, you know, making it nice, dressing, like adding like candles and different things like that, which are really extra elements. Again, this is the priorities things. If this is one of your top 3 priorities, you might just interchange this with, I don't know, like with the videographer, for example. You might interchange decor with videographer. It really depends. But it's definitely like an added element. So yeah, with that 2k, with deposits and different things like that, that'll really save you. Extra foods, maybe wine, that will save you storing that away. Definitely put it away, because if you don't, you'll be in trouble. Not necessarily in trouble, but it will help you, because there's all these little hidden costs everywhere. Maybe you want to get some baskets for your guests that are staying overnight. You never know. It depends what venue you're at. So I would say that is a healthy amount to put towards each supplier, and have a successful wedding as well. So yeah, that is it, guys. That is how to plan a wedding for a 15k plus budget, so 15 to 20k. Healthy amount of money put away. Obviously save, it's all expensive, hey ho, but weddings are expensive, and as soon as people accept that, I guess, there's definitely ways to save in areas, which is the highlight of it, in my opinion. But weddings is like you're having a big, massive party, and if you think about a normal party that you would have, it's still expensive. You're just having it for maybe 80 people. You know what I mean? But I hope that helps anyone thinking, oh my god, what should I pay for, blah, blah, blah. I hope that helps you, because something like that would have helped me anyway when I first started. And yeah, if you want to know more about how to plan a wedding for different budgets, just let me know. I could always do like a more in-depth breakdown of percentages for weddings in general. Just let me know. And I'm also going to do things about parties, corporate parties, themed parties, the whole galore, as well as the normal content content on my channel. Right, it's time for me to go food shopping, so I'm gonna head off. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insight and helped you out. And yeah, don't forget to follow me on my socials, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.